China will not accept the blackmail nature of the
Okay.
U.S. China urged the U.S.
What's up, guys?
rectify
I was
its
listening to
ill-advised
Tech
intent
Lead's
to
video he
harm
just
bilateral
uploaded.
tariff measures against China.
Kind of long. He's been doing a lot right now, but yeah, I mean, people are panicking about tariffs, potentially going down farther. So there's that, that view to be made. I would say first of all, the thing we want to realize first here is that in all likelihood, in the red but hopeful, like the title of this, states, in all likelihood, once things get crazy with the tariffs, once you actually have a real chance of going into recession, I mean, you could argue we definitely have a real chance now, but where it looks like you're going to go into one, if the tariffs don't ease off, absolutely. What does Trump do? Trump eases off the tariffs. This is just kind of that, and I think the goal here is to wait until looks like he's almost got it officially now. You had yields coming up. This is like the yields are probably they're not trading now, but I don't think. What's up, James? Not always on vacation. I've been in this place for a while. Depends how you define that, but anyway. So yeah, most likely you're going to see a rate cut in May. Most likely May is going to be the end of QT, which is huge. I think that's what Trump wanted. So, he got his wish. Now you ease off the tariffs just a little bit and you get more good news. Now, 100% tariffs on China. Does it get any worse than that? I don't think so. But who knows? But probably not. What was I going to say here? 62% recession, and then they go into effect at midnight. That's priority factored in. So, in all likelihood, let's just do some basic TA and S&P 500. Double bottom, higher low potential there. Let's go on futures because that's what's open right now. It actually looks a little bit better than down to that area. That was right when the China thing was announced, so right down there. However, when you look at Ethereum, coming up slightly, trying to get jump from that area. So you're still this volatility is probably freaking nuts. You have 15, and then 10 from there. So probably just get all the shorts, get all the longs, then potentially continue forward here. When you look at money flows coming up. So when you look at that, so yeah. Super. What's up, Rafa? What's up, everybody? What's up, Johnny M? So yeah, deep wave was on the 20-hour, 16-hour, right there, 12-hour, about to form two on the daily. So I think we still look okay. I mean, if you do break downward from here, where are you going to hit? You're going to hit. Well, let's try it out. I mean, it's probably going to be around 1200. That would be a really, I would say, probably around there. I mean, you could try to mess around with fib levels and such, and we could do this, but it's probably going to give us a pretty general close area. So yeah, if you do break down to that point, that would be next. Higher low though. It's the case right now. Same thing for Bitcoin, kind of. You're breaking down below that area, so. Yeah, it really depends. I mean, there's a lot of panic. There's people talking about, S&P 500 going down to 400 or 4,000. No one knows, obviously. No one knows what's going to happen. And anyone who tells you that they know what's going to happen, I mean, well, they're probably doing some insider trading, so. I'm just kidding. Usually, nobody knows. So, I mean, back to these levels, I don't think so. I think you would hit a bottom relatively soon. I think Trump would probably ease off. I think we got kind of what we need. I mean, Thursday you have inflation data coming out, which is probably going to be lower than expected, and that's not even factoring in, the breakdown with these tariffs, and not even factoring in what just happened. Orange juice just collapsed. Everything is kind of collapsing here. I mean, if anything, like they don't want you to eat cattle. They don't want you to eat meat. Believe me, if this is down any amount, your inflation is down. let's see. Look at the yellow cross. 12-hour Bitcoin always hit him at a reversal on this time frame. 12-hour cross. 12. Let's see. What do you mean by the cross? You did some EMA? A reversal, meaning a reversal to the upside? A reversal back to the upside? What do you mean? Anyway, ETH Bitcoin. I don't think you would go down to these. Well, go down lower in these areas. First of all, you could go down to those areas. If you do, it'd probably be between now and the next FOMC meeting. QT ends. If ETH is still bleeding after QT ends against Bitcoin, then you have a serious problem there. I don't think that's going to happen. And then your NASDAQ trying to make a higher low double bottom. We'll see what happens. So yeah. Big A is somewhat of a decent area. Trying to make that higher low. And yeah. And trade right here. We're hopeful. In the red, but hopeful. If you guys are interested in trading, check out the pinned comment for BloFin. 10% off your fees for life on BloFin. That's what we're using for Trading Wars too. And I'm trying to think what else here. Yeah, BYDFI great as well. 10% off your fees for life. And there's some giveaways, bonuses on both of those exchanges. Links are in the description below. It's 10% off your fees for life only with my link. So check that out. I'm trying to think here. Man. Let's see. Mexican peso, Colombian peso. I don't know why the hell. Yeah. Let's just look at the Dixie quickly here. The Dixie. Okay, so that's coming back. I guess that's somewhat of a good sign if you reject here. I mean, you kind of want this to go down for markets to recover. Maybe you reject here while markets recover or something, or just stay sideways as it likes to do. And that's, yeah, SPY versus 60 right there. Trying to jump up. You got a few others. Solana. That's one potential trade that could work relatively well. Rejection from this point. Hopefully you would bounce off of there or continue forward from here. Hard to exactly say. But yeah. Let's see there. AI16Z. AI16Z. Doesn't sound good, but yeah. This is probably the freaking. Is this one of those scam? Like, no, I mean. Yeah, I mean, what do you want me to. This is just. Yeah, I don't know. Seems like a scam to me. I think this is one of those like scam ones that has like the robot comments and the YouTube comments. Wish YouTube would crack down on that. Bitcoin dominance, okay. Trying to make a lower high. Trying to make a lower high from that high. That's the thing too with, if you look at others versus Bitcoin, similar situation, kind of that double bottom. I mean, it came down a little bit lower, but and if you consider the tariffs to be like more of an unexpected event, then that's still your kind of low. So, of course, if you do come down lower than that, then that's kind of nullified. But yeah, I mean, I think there's still somewhat of a chance of, you know, finally jumping up here. So yeah. I mean, some of your money flow shows continuation downward, some of it doesn't, you know. Aerodome, yeah, I've heard of it. It's probably down so much, right? I don't know. I mean, you know, you're down a lot, you know. Trying to latch onto something. QT ends pretty soon. I mean, if you believe in it, I think it generally would be a good gamble right here. So yeah. But it is, if we look at, you know, like I showed you guys, that's pretty remarkable. I don't know what changed that in the last few hours to make that give us the favorite for a rate cut next month, May 7th. So it's about exactly a month away, pretty much. So yeah, fetch.ai, that probably got railed, right? Let's see. Probably got wrecked. It's a big area right here, 34. Yeah, it could be decent. I mean, the AI did have that collapse, but this is where you could bounce relatively soon, or from where we already did. Yeah, I think there's potential there. And let's see, what else do I want to... A few other things. Well, a few things, you know, let's look at... Okay, let's look at NFTs quickly. Mutant Apes, 2.3 ETH. And Bored Apes, 20K. So, you know, nothing really happening at the moment. Held up well in the ETH evaluation, although ETH, you know, we know how bad ETH is. The thing with ETH that's wild, too, is, like, it's creeping up in market cap. Tether is creeping up in market cap. And let's just look at Tether dominance right now. Because that kind of coincides with the... I mean, obviously, you want this to go down to have your market do well. And, I mean, it's hitting that big point. I would think in all likelihood this should start to head down soon. And hopefully you'll see the market recover. And see ETH especially start to do something. So, yeah, but your money flow, I mean, yeah. I mean, a lot of people are talking about, you know, right here, how this could really break upward a lot more. And that didn't exactly happen. Came back down. But maybe now it does. Maybe now it breaks up. I don't think so, though. Could break up a little bit more. Kind of reminds me of... Actually, I wanted to look at... Yeah, it's in between. Not terrible. At the same time, it could be worse. Okay, US 30-year. Some of the yields, these are coming up like crazy. But with the Fed cutting potentially, I don't see how these are going to sustain that. I'm surprised with everything going on that these jumped as much as they did. A 10-year makes more sense because it was down a lot, but the 30-year, wow. I don't know. I think they would roll over and follow this money flow downward in all likelihood. Let's see, render here. That's a big spot. That's a big spot. Let's see there. Yeah. That could bounce, definitely. That weekly's a little scary at the moment. Maybe wait till that red dot goes away. Give it a week or something, you know. But the daily, maybe wait for that. That would probably be the better thing. Wait for that daily and then try to go long. So right there. Really hoping we could break above here on ETH. I think we can, you know. It's just, well, the thing with trading, you know, it's all about risk management. You know, you never want to risk too much because then, you know, you lose too much when you do lose. And you're not profitable, unfortunately, sometimes. Have a look at Microsoft as the most valuable company. It was number 2, Apple and Nvidia or something. So, yeah. But ultimately, I mean, so we looked at Bitcoin dominance. You know, you're getting to the last part of it. If it all coincides with the end of QT, then you're looking at next month. That's what you're looking at next month. Really, you know, it's starting to turn around now. What was interesting, I believe this was the end of QT last time around August, September or something. You came down, you had one more spike up, but essentially that was your kind of high there. I mean, I would think because we're in the bull market year, things would happen a little bit faster. Like, I think this would be sustained. You know, that's what I would kind of think. Yeah, because if you didn't throw in COVID there, this probably would have been more. You probably wouldn't have came back that high. The red dot below is the incoming. I don't know which red dot. It's based on VWAP. That's just following price. Let's see. Man, I'm thinking here. Right there. So we looked at those. Okay, let's see what's happening here. Let's actually look at Apple. That's been in the news. Apple is down to April 24 highs. So similar to what we saw in the S&P 500, it finally came down 34%, which for Apple, that's usually, I mean, you probably see this trigger that rare kind of bull sign, and then unless you think we're going into a bad freaking recession, I mean, even in 22, it gave you something. You made a lower low there in January, but then, ooh, you know what I mean? Like, you're getting there, you know, especially with that VWAP as you're getting close to the, I mean, there, yeah, it takes a little bit, but even that one, yeah, you were well on your way. This one probably too. Oh, wait a second. Did something? Did my thing just cut out? Oh, shoot. No, it seems like it's still going. Provoked bear market. Yeah. Well. Ah, man. Is everything good, guys? Are you able to? You guys able to freaking? Provoked bear market. You guys able to see anything? Let me check my phone because it's the first time that's ever happened. Weird, Met just cut out of nowhere. I didn't do anything. Looks okay. Okay, so I just can't see the messages. I'll just read them on my phone. That's weird. That's a first. Appreciate you guys. So yeah, I always appreciate you guys smashing the like button. And if you want to trade, check out BloFin and BYDFI. Links are down below. So yeah. Anyway. So ETH. I mean, the main thing I was looking at earlier was kind of the 4-hour deep anchor wave. And now what I'm looking at to, you know, still be positive would be the 12-hour like that. I think that's enough, especially given that things don't go to zero in a straight line, even if you think it's going to zero. I mean, maybe we'll rip the bandit off and go down to 1200, which is like the lower end of like that logarithmic band. Shout out to Ben Cowan for that, because you know, that's the lower end of that logarithmic band. And I mean, at that point, like, I mean, what could you, let's just say, you know, what could you theoretically do? Let's compare this to, you know, I mean, what could you theoretically do in like into a 6-month period if you were to come down that low? I mean, this would be a real quick recovery back up to 3,200 by 10 to June. And if you were to repeat something like this, and that was most of your bull market there, so that's not even all-time highs. So yeah, ETH is just completely suppressed. But let's compare this to Bitcoin let's compare this to Bitcoin in 2023, which was a big run-up or something. And there's some similarities in terms of inflation data. So this was, let's just do percentage-wise. And this is about a 6-month period. So September's the 9th month, March, yeah, about a 6-month period. 200%. Now, I don't know, is 200% enough to even be... That's enough to get close to all-time highs. Can you hit that 200% in the next 6 months? So April's the 4th month. So by October, can you hit 4,000 by October, 4,200 by October? And in the last 3 months of the year, 2 months of the year, can you hit another, I don't know, another double from that to get up to 7,000? I mean, maybe. Probably not, but maybe. Is 7,000 still possible? Maybe. I don't know. But it still can get up to new all-time highs by the end of the year. I don't know if it will, but maybe it can. S&P 500 versus M2. Yeah, people are looking at that. Yeah. I think the tariffs are already kind of, it's more news coming out regarding the tariffs. Does China start talking about negotiations? What happens? Who folds first? You know. What was I going to say here? Let's look at SPX versus M2, which I like to look at SPX versus the Dixie a little bit more, because it kind of shows the power of the dollar rather than how many dollars exist. Yeah, I mean it's close to that like really big area. So these were the these were the highs of December 21. So similar to kind of the Dixie in some ways, almost thinking that maybe this would be the case, maybe come down a little bit more, hit that area. So yeah, you can't even say look at percent. Well, no, you can 20% there. Um, there's no like no price thing. So yeah, I mean that was year 2000. It was 20%. Yeah, and you came down 57 there, and this was what 60. Yeah, so about the same on its USD evaluation. Just looking for other areas there. Hmm. That's the thing, yeah. Okay, lower on both Bitcoin, ETH short term. Hard to say, but maybe. I don't know if you'd make lower lows. I mean, I don't know. I feel like there's just not enough. Like, if we look at. It's close to where we are, though, so I guess it's foolish for me to just be blindly optimistic. Let's look at ETH, actually, because ETH's the one that's just gotten. Looks like it's going to freaking zero, but. Yeah, the weekly, I don't know if that's like the best. It's all up here, 1800. But if you look at like, let's say, for example, you do have a lot in the short term. You get a lot of liquidations there. And then let's look at that 3-day. Which you'd expect there to be a lot of liquidations at like 1440, but that's not really that much lower, you know what I mean? You don't have to go that much lower to get to 1440. So you get like the monthly there. Four-year cycle is busted. Oh. For 4-year cycle to be busted, I think you'd want to decisively lose 72 right there. Because we generally see that 30 or 35% correction in the beginning of the 4 years. So I would say if you lost that, then it's definitely busted. I would also say that if others versus Bitcoin goes down, so two things I would say would make the 4-year cycle completely busted. Well, yeah, completely busted, let's say. This, like, decisively going below where it is right now. So those two things. Bitcoin losing 72K decisively, or 70K decisively, let's say. And this losing this area decisively. You're bouncing off of it right now. And I mean, it's a pretty big area. It's that low over there, essentially. Maybe we'll find out within the next few days. I mean, if this goes decisively lower, don't know if it will. Well, it depends how you define 4-year cycle. You know what I mean? It really depends how you define that. I mean, Bitcoin did not make a new all-time high factoring in inflation until around the end of last year, which coincides with the 4-year cycle. So a lot of things still coincide with the 4-year cycle. Now, it depends how you define it. It's different you could argue the 4-year cycle was busted or never existed because it's not exactly every same month that Bitcoin peaked out and it didn't peak and bottomed out. You know, it depends how you define that. You know, it's kind of like it's subject to interpretation. But I would say in the way I look at it, Bitcoin losing 72K decisively, this losing this low decisively. So yeah. So yeah. I mean, people have always, said the 4-year cycle was over. You know, people have always said that, but I mean, it depends how you define it. I mean, it's been over since it's never existed in some ways. you know, nice double bottom here. ETH versus Bitcoin. Maybe you keep going. And I mean, I think the main thing that we want to realize about the 4-year cycle is it's not the Ethereum 4-year cycle necessarily. I do say everything involves or revolves around it, but the 4-year cycle is primarily Bitcoin. And your same pattern here would be that beginning of year around 30% correction, and the previous one before that, that was around 34. Now, we're a couple months late, we're a few months late. This was, oh wait, hold on a second. No, that was that. I was just comparing that low to, yeah, I mean, I can't even, right. Was that 40? Wow, 38 January. So yeah, we're right here now, I mean, if you compare it a little bit differently there, but then again, if you compare enough things, you could make any freaking argument you want, 35% down. But yeah, I mean, that was that bottom. You factor in diminished returns, so yeah. But maybe I'm being too optimistic. I mean, I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe Peter Schiff was right. Maybe we're going to zero, Peter Schiff said back in 2021, all right, tweeted, Bitcoin may hit 100K at one point, but it's still going to zero. Or something along those lines. I know he said it was going to, I forget after it's 100K. I'm like 99% sure he implied it could hit 100K and then it's going to zero. Maybe he's right. It would be hilarious if maybe it goes to zero. I don't know. Maybe it's all, I mean, there's people I know, maybe they're smarter than me. I mean, it's hard to, it's hard to know, but there's people I've known throughout the years. I mean, Charlie Munger, he passed away now, but he all said it was shit. I mean, I've had other friends that said that. Maybe they're smarter than me. Maybe I don't know. It's very hard. I mean, if you break down from this major kind of, I guess you could have some targets at like 56, 48, inception of Bitcoin ETF, then your 4-year cycle is completely out the window, I think. But some people may define the 4-year cycle differently, It's all subject to interpretation. What is up, Jason Casper? How you doing, buddy? Shout out to Jason Casper. Guys, check out his channel if you haven't seen Jason Casper. If you're not doing anything, buddy, you want to come on the chat? We'd always love to have you on the channel. Shout out to Jason Casper, really great analyst. Let's see. Let me just look at this chat a little bit more here. That sounds so bearish, of course, when Jason came out and talking about how Peter Schiff's going to be right. No, I don't think that. I think we're in a recovery here, but maybe I'm wrong. 80% of 4-year cycles are off. What do you mean by 80%? What do you mean by that? Yeah. Well, no, it's just funny forward. I just remember that tweet by Peter Schiff, like back in 20. It may hit 100K at some point, but it's still going to go to zero. I just find that so funny. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like, this thing is like, okay, it's on like, it's 10K. It may go to $1 million at some point, but it's definitely going to zero after. I think that's true forever. Doesn't everything go to zero at some point? Like I feel like nothing is gonna last to eternity. Like everything's gonna go to zero in a few hundred years, probably. So yeah. Oh, what's up, Crypto Bull Zone? So yeah. And by the way, guys, if you want to join the Discord, we have Nightshade in here. A lot of really good stuff by Nightshade. A lot of really good people. Check it out. Link is in description below. In addition, if you sign up to BloFin or BYDFI down below with my link in the pinned chat, you get 10% off of your fees for life, and 10% off your fees for life. And if you open a sport ticket with your BYDFI deposit $100, we'll give you one free month in Aldo Empire VIP Discord. Let's see. Yeah. That's funny. Yeah, Peter should just give both extras. They were right in the future. Yeah, I mean, yeah. There's both points you could argue. Yeah, it's always fun to kind of speculate it. Almost right now. I mean, it kind of does look like you're gonna lose that area and go down to 72, which would be a huge area. And then we'll see if we really do lose the if we see see if we really do lose the 4-year cycle. So. That's what could be happening. That's what could be happening. Who knows? So Who knows? Anyway, just thinking here. So yeah, had a T-bone steak earlier. T-bone. At a nice place here. I wonder what that would cost in America. I think I paid like $50 for it, something like that. I mean, it was a real good one. Real good one, really. We'll go so. Let's see, yeah. Yeah. But, yeah. I'm just trying to think. I mean, that's the main thing. If you can continue there. But yeah, appreciate you guys. Always appreciate you smashing the like button. Same with Sean. Yep. Yeah. So I'm not full strict carnivore anymore. I'm more. I did it for the cravings were too. I just couldn't. I should have kept. I wanted to keep strict carnivore for like a month to 2 months. Ideally 2 months to get the full benefits from it, and then move on to adding in some fruit. So I'm pretty much like steak, eggs, some fruit, a little bit of yogurt, and espresso. That's pretty much it. So animal based or whatever, Paul Saladino, whatever that, it works decently well. Definitely wanted to try full carnivore for 2 months or something, but it's so hard socially, a little bit like that. But yeah, I should do it though. I really want to do it. Just not at this moment, direct moment. 1,400 ETH looks so cheaper. I'll lose some money than missing the entire run for the. Oh, you're doing Paul Saladino. That's what everybody, even Joe Rogan was doing that. Yeah, plus veggie. Okay. Yeah, plant. That's what what's that other dude that's similar? Santa Cruz, that dude. I forget what he's like. Yeah, I mean it's just at that point. I mean it's just eat all whole foods. I mean, just stay away from the pesticides and all the chemicals and stuff. The cool thing about where I live right now is, I mean, I get like a really high quality like ground beef and stuff at the supermarket. Oh man, like a pound and a half ground beef, like $3. Like man, it's cool. And some like good, pears. Pears are good. Nah, he eats. I'm sure Jason Casper eats meat forward. What was I gonna say here? But yeah. Shoot. Yeah. I mean, some fruit. Just try to stay. I mean, different. The thing too is like what people don't really realize is there's no one fits all diet for everybody. You know what I mean? Like different stuff works for different people. We all have different genetics, different adaptations and stuff. Like, what works for Jason Casper may not work for Evan Aldo and vice versa. There's all different things. Different people respond to different things in different ways. Our blood types are different. That could affect things. The genetics. There's so many different factors. You kind of have to find what works the best for you. I mean, if you're I was watching Drew Binsky. It was from a year or two ago, I think. A couple of years. Drew Binsky went to the most northern city in Alaska, and he was eating like whale with the Inuits. And those were the people that, those people evolved to, somebody who's an Inuit or Eskimo. It's not offensive to call them Eskimos, they said. An Eskimo, they have a different, they ate different foods for different generations than somebody who's, let's say Italian, for example, or somebody who's Mexican, for example. You know what I mean? Like, that's different. Like, the Inuit, they were just ate the whale and the blubber from the whale, it kept them warm. That's what they said. I don't know how true that is, but it's different adaptations. These people, how many months? It's probably completely dark there for months and months out of the year. What, 6 months out of the year? I don't know. 3 months out of the year. You got to be tough to live in those. It's a totally different adaptation that they evolved to have. Now, if you look at the tallest countries, a lot of that, part of that's genetics, but a lot of that is the way, like the Netherlands, for example, which is the tallest country. A lot of that does have to do with the way they ate for the last couple hundred years, last like 5-6 generations. So if one generation starts eating a better diet, and then you're not going to magically get taller. Like, if I don't think so. I mean, anything's possible, but you're probably not going to get magically taller if you just change your diet and start eating healthier. But if your kids start eating healthier and they change their diet, they may be a little bit taller than you. And then if their kids did that, you know what I mean? It takes 5 or 6 generations, probably at least 4 generations, to really see a significant difference. And then you get, what's the freaking, then you get the thing, and then you become the tallest country, like we see in the Nordic, kind of countries. They also drink the most amount of coffee too, in the Nordic countries as well. Now, that doesn't mean coffee is going to magically make you taller. That doesn't even mean coffee, there's different things that, like I said, different things affect different people differently. So, yeah. Self-sustain, yeah, I believe, yeah. So that's awesome. I mean, I've been, I don't want to, share too much of what I've been, reading about, thinking about, but there's a lot of opportunities to get good quality farmland for not too much, and I mean, it's expensive in the United States, and you got probably Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos and all of them trying to take your farmland, but Paraguay, Argentina, Colombia could have some safety issues. You got to be careful, but there's other good plays, especially for cattle in like Argentina, Uruguay, even Paraguay, probably even Brazil. Yeah, it takes a lot of time. Yeah, you're not gonna. Although I do think, whether it's good or bad, is we're probably going to see within, the next 50 years that you're probably going to be able to influence the genes a lot quicker than that, it seems like. But yeah, it seems like. But you're going to, I mean, you're getting there. I think a lot of, I was listening to, I would recommend you guys should all watch it, Naval Ravikant and Chris Williamson. Especially like the last hour of that. The whole thing is very good, but like the last hour he talks about, Ozempic and all that. And he said, I mean, it's going to be, that's probably one of the biggest, I mean, I could be wrong. I haven't studied it that extensively, but since antibiotics, that could be one of the biggest things, because you look at obesity being linked to so much stuff, basically almost every disease. And then once you get to Ozempic, I mean, that's going to be a big breakthrough for life expectancy. Now, is it shaky? Are there side effects? Yes, but it will get better over time. People like me and Jason are probably thinking like, we worked hard, and then people, are just going to take Ozempic and have no will. Well, the Ozempic will give you willpower. That technology, it was always too dangerous and always had too many side effects. You could actually read about, I actually know an older guy who, I forget what year, many years ago, probably 20, at least 30 years ago, I think. There used to be a shot you could get, and I looked this up. I don't know, I know it's true, but I don't know like a ton of details on it. People have talked about this on Joe Rogan or whatever, but if you're a smoker, there's a shot you can get that suppresses your urge to smoke. And this guy got it. I think it had a lot of side effects. It was taken off the market for whatever the hell reason. Maybe the cigarette companies wanted it off. Who knows? But I think it was actually kind of like dangerous or whatever. But it suppressed like his complete like desire to smoke cigarettes, and he never smoked another cigarette after that. That's kind of what Ozempic does, and that's when you get to that point, it's gonna be that's where you're getting close to modifying the genes, and that's gonna be a big thing. And there's studies showing it lessens the risk of cancer. It's probably more effective than statins in a lot of ways. Statins are kind of BS. It's like anything else, the prescription drugs that they put almost every American on over age 50 or 60 statins. What else they put? High blood pressure. I forget what the hell it is, but for some people, I think they work. The studies that show they're working, those are the people they work for. Some people, it could have negative side effects. Some people, it could give you dementia. Some people, you know what I mean? It affects people differently. So yeah, let's see what the chat here is. From 4-year cycle talk to whale blubber, we really need a big rally here. Yep. I don't know who Kerr Starmer is. I have no idea who that is. If you want to enlighten us, though, I'd be shout out to NBF. Yeah, let us know who that is. I guess so fast. That's all right. Yeah, I mean that happened. I guess it's kind of you lose different, especially the Asia is the sunniest place on earth. Oh, okay. The funny thing about that, Jason. I don't know if you've ever heard this, but I don't. If you have like darker eyes, you're actually you have a higher tolerance to sunlight. Like you don't need sunglasses as much. Like I have really dark eyes, and you don't need. It's like more melatonin or melanin. Yeah, melatonin. I think or both. I think it's just like the same thing, but you have more of that in your eyes. So you're more adaptive to the bright lights. If you have lighter eyes or blue eyes in particular, I think you're more likely to become an alcoholic. I've read. It could alcohol that it's correlated. It could other genetic factors. You're more resilient to alcohol or have better outcomes with it, but then it could become addictive, and then you're more sensitive to the light. So yeah. Whole Foods, yeah. Seafood can be good. Yeah, I would say to stay away from processed stuff, obviously. UK prime. Oh, okay. Wouldn't surprise me. And even yeah, they go through so many prime ministers in the UK. Yeah. But I do think, yeah, I mean, looking at China and looking at all these things, I mean, China, they're getting those flying cars, which is kind of, you look at those, they're like the Jetsons, and you're like, is this even real life? I mean, it's, I mean, China's gonna be, I'd be surprised if China's not the world power in like 30, like 2050s, I'd say, 2050s, 2060s. I'd be surprised. The view now with warfare, that which was also on Naval Ravikant, on him and Chris Williamson, was that like modern warfare is just all drones, and then once all the drones beat the other drones, and then just side surrenders. But I was thinking, okay, what if all of our drones fail, and then the other drones we surrender? Then what happens? Those drones and everybody's, then what do they do with us? You know what I mean? We'll see. I mean, the view during World War II for the Americans, what the Japanese, what the Germans thought that why the Americans would lose in World War II, why they would be able to beat them pretty easily, was that Americans, and it's funny, Americans were too materialistic. They were too materialistic, too lazy. I think that was the main, too materialistic was kind of the main thing. And they kind of saw the Depression. Now, I think that's going to be the real test. How materialistic we are. Over the next 20 years when you have your next recession probably sometime in the 2030s. Your next real one when the gig economy kind of lets out because AI takes all that, food delivery, Uber driver, that's all done. Keeping a lot of people out of poverty. Then you have the debates about universal basic income and all that. And then we see what happens there. But yeah, let's see. So I always appreciate you guys smashing the like button for the whale blubber. I think we should be able to continue forward. I mean, I don't see any, you had your little scare with 100% tariffs. I mean, maybe 200% next. But I think the thing with Trump that a lot of people aren't realizing is like, they basically wanted to test what saying they were going to delay the tariffs for 30 days would even do. And look at that jump up, The Lion can recover this market so quickly, probably back up to 5,600 so quickly if he wanted to. And you're not even that far off all-time highs at that point. So does Trump let it go down farther? Probably not. I mean, maybe a little bit, but you have what you need. 70% of our supplies come from China. Yeah, I still think it's going to take time before those prices go up and all that. And I think they're going to come to a deal. That's what I think, but we'll see. We definitely got to see what happens. It's going to be very interesting to see. But yeah. Others trying to come up there, so yeah. What happened with Trump coin? That's just been so dead. Yeah, build everything in America. Prices would go up. It would. That won't happen. I mean, they'll come to deals. I don't think that could happen. I mean, the last time you had, I guess you had some kind of concerns with tariffs during, during Hoover. Was that what brought? I mean, there's debate whether that was the reason why the U.S. went into a Great Depression rather than just a bad recession back then. You kind of wonder, what would have happened if we were just in a bad recession. Would the U.S. still have entered World War II? I mean, probably. Damn, I think it would even probably would eventually got in, even if, if they got in later, it would have been different. I mean, who knows? You would look at, just thinking, like, at a scenario where somehow, like, maybe U.S. got into World War II too late. Maybe Germany does. It's hard to believe that they would be able to. But, if Germany won, there's some views that if Germany won, they would have taken over the whole world. That's a little bit. Hitler didn't really want to. But then at the end, the freaking, he was on meth and all that crap, which gives you the most false confidence you could probably imagine in most cases. But, probably what he would have had, like, a European empire. And the U.S. would have, obviously kept what they had. And then Japan would have had most of Asia, if not all of pretty much Asia. So it would have been three big empires. I don't know if the United States would have taken over all of South America, Latin America, if that would. It's very hard to say what would have happened. But I think, like, if you were on as much meth as Hitler, it would have been, you kind of just you overstep your bounds and you find a way to lose. You know what I mean? You just find a way to end up either dead or in prison eventually, usually. So, yeah. Just thinking here. Yeah, wages aren't going to raise immediately. That's not really. Yeah, you can't. It's not that sustainable because no one would be able to really afford it. I wouldn't really. That's not like inflation. That's just like prices going. I don't know. I guess yeah, no, that would be inflation. That won't happen. The lion's going to ease. It's not. I don't think that's going to happen, guys. It's just, this is all negotiation. And there's only so much that's even going to come out of all this at the end of the day, I think. There's only so much that's going to change from this. Yeah, everything being made in America again, that's not going to happen. No way. ETH Bitcoin I like right now. But you look at it, like the thing that China, like the drones, that they're beating us on that. There's no, like, in terms of drones, they're better than us. Now, we do have nuclear warfare. We have other things that are very powerful. I think that in aircraft carriers, but that's not what it was. It's really the drones now. But I'm not saying, like, I'm not saying if we were to enter a war with China now, we would, automatically lose. I don't think we would. I think we would probably. It won't happen. That's the thing. It's like it's not going to happen now. like China ain't gonna invade Taiwan any day. Probably not within the next till 5 more years or something. Um, I think China, there's more people there. They really, and that's the other view of like, kind of, it is similar. Like China's view is like it's authoritative capitalism. It's authoritative capitalism. Who else? It wasn't tried for too long. Who else was the other main figure that really believed in authoritative capitalism? It was Hitler, and probably Mussolini to a certain extent, but Mussolini was kind of dumb, I think. Yeah, he was not. I mean, Hitler was dumb too, I think, especially with the meth and all that towards the end. But yeah, I mean, they were both obviously terrible freaking people. I mean, Hitler was much worse. You don't obviously saw probably top 10 worst human beings in history, if not. I mean, I don't know the ranking of what other people before Hitler had done, but obviously one of terrible people in history, if not the worst person in history. But it was authoritative capitalism was his view was the best thing. Now, does that is that a lot of people think there's a lot of problems with authoritative capitalism, which I think there's a strong argument to make for that. But does authoritative capitalism, is that what creates a society that's able to reign as the world power at some point within the next 30 to 50 years? Maybe. There's some, there's going to be some pros to anything, some pros to any economic model. A lot of what I see on Instagram Reels or even TikTok Reels, there's like a guy that's, he's only training his like right or left upper trap or whatever, and he's got like a huge upper. He's just trying to like do muscle imbalances or whatever, just to like get views. There's people like that. There's another kid or guy who just eats raw chicken. You see all these weird freaking, I feel like the country that, I hate to say it, I could be wrong. I'm against censorship. I really am. Highly against censorship. We want freedom of speech, obviously. Obviously you don't want to, things that blatantly put people in danger. There has to be some, Brandenburg versus Ohio, I think, is a good guideline. What's legal stays. But I'm just thinking, like, sometimes it's like, for a betterment of society, you really should freaking, like, I just find it so funny. Like, the dude that's eating just raw chicken is, like, somewhere between the age of, like, 18 and 21. Like, no muscle. Like, I'm just thinking, like, when I was, like, scrawny, ran track in high school, never really lifted weights, 17 to 18 years old, didn't even eat that much meat. Like, I had more muscle and looked less scrawny than this kid eating freaking raw chicken all day. Just like, jeez. Yeah. I feel like China's social media, whatever they have for, so they would probably ban crap like that, I would think. Yeah. And now I'm probably promoting and helping people watch these people that there's so many things you could make content about and get views, and there's just so much stuff that you could talk about and make a difference and make money with potentially, and they choose to do that. Anyway, let's see. I'm holding the ETH long. I mean, I don't. We'll see what happens. I mean, I'm holding it for now. I think Trump's going to pull things off. I think it's going to look good in the next 4 years. I think it's going to be good, and then I think you're going to see in the probably early 2030s, like CVO was talking about, then you finally have reality hit. But I mean, it's kind of like, people could argue, it's because this politician was bad, that politician was bad, that's what caused this. And it's true to a certain extent, but you just look at history. Nobody's going to rule the world forever, you know what I mean? Or you live long enough to either die the hero, or live long enough to become the villain. McKinley used tariffs. I mean, yeah, it was such a different time. That's the thing too. Like, I know I was listening to one of those like pretty boys on TikTok talk about how high corporate taxes are better for the U.S. economy, because back in the 70s or 60s or something, we had high corporate taxes, and that was when the economy did well or whatever. Kind of debatable. It wasn't even the 80s, but yeah, that was like a terrible argument that dude made. They make such like those like pretty boys in TikTok always talking about, you know, really diehard liberal. They remind me of the raw chicken guy. It just cracks me up. Yeah, like if you just want to be as look as feminine as possible and have no like raw chicken liberalism. I'm kidding. I'm kind of joking. Well, about the raw chicken, I'm not. But I mean, maybe I'm not the most educated person on raw chicken, but that is terrible. You could get some really you could get really sick from that crap. You got to be crazy. But yeah. And what was I gonna say here? What was I gonna? Oh yeah, what was I? Why did I forget what I was talking about? I lost my train of thought. Damn it. We're talking about the what's up, guys? What's up, AZTV? But the yeah, that was kind of like that, but it's a different time, you know. So the argument against that the liberalism comment of like high corporate taxes are better because the economy did well in the 60s from it. I mean, it didn't do well in the 70s. I guess it's debatable, but objectively, most people think the economy didn't do too well in the 70s or 60s when they had high corporate taxes. It did well, but I mean, back then you couldn't move your business to Dubai too easily. There weren't that many hospitable places that were safe and, you know, developed like they are today in the world. That's the difference between the world too. You know, you compare the world in 1960s to the world now. Like, there's way more places in the world that are very livable, developed, safe than there were, you know, clean water, well, I mean, not clean tap water a lot of times, but I mean, you know, what's up, AZTV? Oh, yeah, Jason Casper is still here. Oh, man. Shout out to Jason Casper. Check out his channel, guys. I got to get on one of your live streams, Jason Casper. I owe you a super chat. I definitely owe you a super chat. I'll be around. You're welcome on the live stream anytime here, man. Chief. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, salmonella, you could definitely, I mean, I don't know if those dudes actually swallow the raw chicken. Maybe they just chew it a little bit, spit it out. I don't know. You probably can't get sick from it, at least not sick as much. But yeah, I mean, there's salmonella, E. coli. I mean, that's really, I mean, that dude too, Gavin Mayo. He was, I don't know, and if you slaughter the chicken and then immediately eat it, is it safe to eat the raw chicken? Maybe it's something like that. He had some videos of him eating raw chicken in like the Alps or something in Europe. It was probably, I mean, either he just chewed it and spit it out, never swallowed it, or it was like the chicken was just slaughtered right there. That might be safer. I would still think you could get sick if the chicken had some disease or something though, or some infection. What was I gonna say? Always cook chicken thoroughly to internal temperature. Yeah. Craving raw meat. Yeah. I don't know. I think it was salmonella. I got salmonella from eating raw. I think it was raw. Yeah, raw tuna. I think it was from the raw tuna I ate in Bali. Although you could probably get salmonella from anything you're eating in Bali. But not a knock for Bali. I'm just saying food poisoning is damn common in Bali. But yeah. What was I going to say? Yeah, I mean, it sounds safer. Yeah, I don't know how that works. I think I have no idea, but I think if you slaughter a chicken that doesn't have any infections or diseases and eat it immediately, it's probably safer. The other thing though is I think it's stupid because it has more protein when it's cooked. Generally meat has more protein when it's cooked too. So, yeah. The other thing too, bad shellfish can kill you. Yeah, I've heard that you could even die if you're very unlucky eating like raw, oysters. Eating raw oysters can kill if you're very unlucky. People do it all the time though, and they're fine. So I mean, it's obviously, less. I mean, people have gotten very sick from eating raw or not raw, eating lettuce. That is called E. coli, salmonella, many times. That's the people have gotten sick from that. I think fruit. I don't think I've never heard of. That's what's interesting. I've never heard of anyone getting salmonella or E. coli or anything bad from fruit. That's what's. I wonder. But I've heard it about lettuce, especially romaine lettuce. I've heard that many times. Wash that chicken, especially if there's a guy. Okay, so wait, I'm not. I'm saying it's bad to eat raw chicken. Wait. Are you not listening to me? I'm saying it's. I say wash the chicken. Okay, so wash it then cook it. I don't know. I've never I have no idea what the thing is, but yeah. Raw milk, I think it's probably raw milk obviously has the probiotics. There's a lot of good things with that. You got to get it from a good source. You can't be getting it from. That's why pasteurization became so mainstream in America, because the farmers were the farmers. Now I was saying you can't. I don't think you can get salmonella or E. coli from eating fruit. I've heard it from romaine lettuce, but raw milk, they started pasteurizing milk because the farmers were treating the cows like crap and they were getting infections and all that, and people were getting sick because the cows were sick. But generally, if the cows are in good, not sick and not getting infections and treated well, you will be okay from raw milk. Probably would be the same odds of getting sick from raw eggs, something like that. But running water ain't gonna kill salmonella. I don't think, bro. It could help a little bit. But that's not. I don't think that's gonna do. That's only gonna do so much. That's only gonna do so much. Yeah, I mean that's kind of. I have a bunch of bacteria all over my arm. I just run running. I have an infection, real bad infection in my arm. I run running water, tap water on it. That's gonna help it. That's probably not gonna do too much. It may help if you have dirt and a bunch of crap all over, and maybe it'll help a little. Yeah, it'll help probably, but it's not gonna kill no bad bacteria. Chicken liver, I've heard of that, yeah. Well, that was the main view how COVID started. They were eating bats and those weird things and those uncommon things to eat. Get Alzheimer. I don't. Let's see. Too much vitamin A. Sure, too much too much of anything will be bad. Wash less than vinegar than running. Vinegar, I could see. It's a lot of freaking work, man. I've heard of putting vinegar on a salad, oil and vinegar. I've heard of using white vinegar to rinse it, but yeah, if you want to be that paranoid. I mean, I don't really eat vegetables at all, so I eat fruit though. But yeah. Microscopic dust mites. I mean, am I in California? I'm not in California. I am not in California, if that's what you're asking. Dog meat. You can get that in a lot of Asia, I think. It's probably primarily in China. Speak like a South Cali guy. I mean, that's pretty much a North New England accent, aside from a New York accent or New Jersey accent. I'm from Connecticut. I grew up in Connecticut. I Yeah, I mean, I feel like most of the people that migrated to California, depending on when, I mean, they came from probably the Northeast, so would make sense. I don't think, I mean, California, it's very similar to like a Connecticut or something in New England outside of, well, generally New England, I mean, unless you have like a New York or a Boston or a New Jersey and North Jersey kind of accent, but that's mainly like older people anyway. Um, Would you guys actually wash lettuce and wash berries in vinegar? I've never. Everyone just. I don't even fruits. I don't really. I rinse them off a little bit, you know, but I don't think that does that much. You're just rinsing off a little. Maybe if there's dirt on it. I mean, I feel like you got to use some soap, or I guess maybe vinegar would do the trick. I don't know. Is vinegar antibacterial? I have no idea. New Canaan. Oh wow, Grant Walker. Yeah, yeah, that's a good. I used to run there. Yeah, I like New Canaan a lot. That area of Connecticut, I really like. It's different, you know. There's certain places in the U.S. There's those. Connecticut's one of them. I mean, probably some of the. I mean, those wealthy places. Probably some parts of like New Jersey. You know, obviously Fairfield County, Connecticut. Some parts of New Jersey, Massachusetts. I would say. Trying to think similar places that I know of. Obviously, parts of Southern California. South Florida nowadays, that's more new money though. It's a little bit different. And yeah, that's pretty much it actually. There's only a few. I mean, maybe some parts near like that Virginia. Oh, yeah, definitely some parts of Virginia. That'd be less so, but yeah, dirt is good for you. People getting sick making their own salad didn't wash with running water. I don't think that would do much, man. Let's chat GBT that. I don't think that would. I don't think that would do too much. I mean, maybe if there's a ton of dirt on it and you rinse off the dirt, that could help. um, okay. 1031, is that like investment properties to, yeah. Um, yeah, I don't know. Sometimes you know you don't want to be too paranoid. You know, when your hours up, your hours up. You're gonna get sick at some point. But you know, as long as you're not doing anything too ridiculous, like eating raw chicken or whatever, you know, you probably won't get that sick. Tell you that much. Um, TikTok and Tide, yeah. The Tide crab, that was where they ate the Tide Pods or something. That was a while ago. That was, how many years ago was that? Probably like 7, 8 years ago. I remember that. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, was TikTok around when that happened? No, I don't think that. I mean, TikTok in general, yeah. I think on social media there always was, you know, people doing ridiculous things for clout and all that and attention. I think it may be a little bit worse now. Now you're getting like the AI stuff, you know. But yeah. Wyoming could be cool, you know. Not much to do there, aside from the really naturey stuff. You know, buy farmland or whatever, have the homestead there. Could be an idea. Pretty cold there, you know. Definitely, I wouldn't move there. Great place to visit though. But yeah. Let's see. We've been on about an hour, 14 minutes. Trying to think what I want to do. Hmm. Thinking here. Yeah, I'm probably gonna go off in a minute. Let's just see what's how is the market moving. Project from this. We'll see what happens. Maybe it'll drop down. It's hard to say. I don't know. I hope we come up more. I think we should. Yeah, like the 90-minute there. But yeah, trying to hopefully come back or maybe go down to 72. So yeah. Let's see, 5-day. Yeah, I mean that doesn't look too good. Yeah, I guess we will break through this area because 4-year cycle has to be broken because I've always talked positively about it. Trump won. Anyway, guys. I'll see you guys soon. Really appreciate you guys tuning in. If you guys are interested, check out the links down below, especially the pinned chat for BloFin, 10% off your fees. So yeah, and if you want 1 free month in All Empire VIP Discord, if you sign up to any of the exchanges down below, deposit at least $100 and open support ticket with a UID, I'll give you 1 free month. So check it out if you guys are interested. Anyway, guys, hope you had a great discussion. Let's see. I think all the liquid fiat trash money will flow into cryptos like it should? Yes. But I don't know.